Well, we want to extend a warm welcome to everyone. Today, we're going to share some very important points about managing wealth and our proactive tax planning strategies because of the Secure program. So these are the things we'll cover briefly. The first point we want to make is that knowledge is power. So we really believe a well-educated client is the best client. So we're going to talk about some strategies that will help us with 2022 and beyond. As always, we review the 5 key areas of financial planning. They are preservation planning, retirement planning, tax planning, estate planning, and investment planning. Since we do comprehensive financial services, we want to consider how each of these areas is impacted, not separately, but together comprehensively. So our first thing that we want to do is review a little bit about 2021. It was an impressive year for equities. As you can see from the chart here, the market just grew and grew and grew. We had record closes in 2021. The S&P had 70 and the Dow had 45. The NASDAQ had a ton of them too. But 2022 is a different story. Note the roller coaster. So we've got volatility, we've got all of these things that are happening, inflation, war in Ukraine, and so on. So let's talk a little bit about volatility. Note the chart that goes back to the 1980s, and it shows the Dow at being about 1,500 or so. And today the Dow's breaking 33, 34, 35,000. Why is it that things continue to do well? Even a sharp decline because of COVID right there in 2020 is a lot less threatening when you look at the long term. That's why having a solid investment strategy is an integral part of a long-term, well-devised financial plan. Discipline is the key, not emotion, not getting upset, but following the strategy that we've planned even during these volatile times. It's crucial that we do that. Now, here's the next little thing. If you'll note here, this is a historic review of market downturns. Note the concept, it's uncomfortable, but it's not unfamiliar. 5% or more pullback happens about 3 times a year. 10% is about once a year, and 20% is about once every 6 years. We refer to the 5% decline as a pullback, 10% as a correction, and 20 as a bear market. So over the past 70 years, that's the history. Don't get nervous, don't get emotional. That's what happens. Now, this is another thing. Inflation has hit us. We're at record levels of inflation, 40-year high. Costs of goods and services go up, and it requires us to look for a place for good return. That's essential. So CPI is the red line, core is the blue line. It's showing 5.9 in the slide, but actually it's at almost 8. It's at 7.9. The cost of safety, though, is near zero. So if you run and hide and get a bank CD, it's 0.19% average, according to Barron's. So that's national. Interest rates, they're going to go up. The Fed has already announced the 20.25 rate increase just last week, and they're looking to do more. It upset the market a little bit that they're looking to do more and more. But once again, interest rates are still low right now, even though they are planning to go up. So what do? We review all of your income producing investments. We lock in mortgage rates or consider refinancing as soon as you can. Maintain liquidity for all your near-term needs. Confirm your cash flow needs and do a full review of your financial plan. When we look at this, tied in with all of this that we've already talked about is this geopolitical unrest. It's not just in Ukraine, but it's all over the world. There's all these problems. Ukraine is just taking news. So what do? You can't predict the future exactly, but you can prepare. And the way to do that is what the slide says, act for the long term. That's what we must do. That's how equities are viewed, long-term holdings. So we want to take that viewpoint. So my goal is to help my clients make smarter financial decisions for better outcomes. Downturns are normal, we talked about that. So we create and commit to a sound long-term plan. We don't get emotional. We don't try to time the market, and we look over our personal investment plan. Volatility is here. When the markets retreat, we have to be cautious. We have to be vigilant. But remember, it's part of the experience. We're going to see those. So by using the long-term approach, it certainly smooths our ride out emotionally, but also in reality. So selling equities during a downturn may help you retain gains, but if you're still on the sideline when the market swings up, oh, it was disadvantageous. So it hurt the portfolio of our performance of our portfolio. So timing the market has its risks. It's not always the best. Now, remember, we have to focus on your personal goals, your objectives. So please call us with any concerns you have about these times that we're in. Our next portion is about tax planning. This is where we're proactive. How can we be proactive? It's by arming ourselves with knowledge. The CARES Act, the Secure Act changed in 2021 and they affect our 2022 taxes. So we're going to point out some opportunities and strategies that will help you. So let's look at those. The first one is about the tax brackets. Here's what we want to share. And if you wish, you can stop the presentation at any point to review this. But married, since most of us are married, that's the column we look at. The standard deduction went up. The brackets changed somewhat. So this is where we are. We try and plan on the lowest tax bracket possible so that we can avoid the higher tax bracket rates. So these are the ones. Long-term capital gains rates are listed here. If we're under $83,000 married, filing jointly, it's $83,000 and it's zero capital gains. When we go into the 500, between 83 and 500, it's only 15%. So it's better than the individual tax rate. So investing is still a good approach. Now, we have plan limits on contributions. If you're in a 401k, it's 20,500. If you're over 50, you can add 6,500 to it for 27,000. If you're able to contribute that, it doesn't matter about how much a percentage of your income. If you make 28,000, you can contribute 27,000. That's just the way the programs work now. IRAs are at 6,000 with a $1,000 catch-up. That's the way it works. Now, another thing that's important to know is that our exclusion tax is 16,000 now. So you can contribute to a working child or grandchild, or you can give to an IRA, you can gift to a 529 plan. All of these are gifting opportunities that you have. Some ideas that we just mentioned here are just the tip of the iceberg. You can give money to whoever you like as a gift, but you want to make it to someone who's worthy of your gift. The next point is that we have to be proactive. So here's a new concept. There's a previous rule that if it was an IRA, you could stretch it as long as you were a beneficiary of the IRA. That has gone away. Now it's only if you're the spouse can you stretch it. If you're a child or a grandchild, you cannot stretch it, but you have to withdraw within 10 years. So this is a big change, and it will throw tailspin into many of our plans. The distribution requirement on IRAs is 72 now. So that is a change. So we help you with your RMDs every year, and we know this is the rule. So we keep track of that. Now here's another option. We can convert an IRA to a Roth IRA. But here's what the slide is showing. If your tax rate is higher than your beneficiary's tax rate, it doesn't make good sense to convert. But if your tax rate is lower than who you're giving the money to at death, then it does make sense to consider a partial or full. So you just have to look at that. The next point here is we want to make sure when we do an IRA, a Roth IRA conversion, that it's overall good long-term. Remember, Roths do tax-free compounding. There's no RMDs on them, and they're tax-free withdrawals. So it does have huge benefits as compared to a regular IRA. But there's pros and cons to making those changes. So we don't want to just arbitrarily make it. We want to look at it carefully and gather the right information. There's another thing you can do. If you're charitable in your contributions from your IRA, you can bunch them together using a donor advised fund. So that means you can donate the money. It doesn't necessarily go to the charity right away. It goes at the time you give it. Since you gave it to the donor advised fund, the tax break is in that year. Here's another one. Qualified charitable distributions, called QDCs. Everything are acronyms in our business. So this is strategic. At 70 and a half, you're allowed to take your RMDs from an IRA and give them to a charity tax-free to you. Is there a limit on that? Yes, there is. This is what the limit is. I'm sorry, I missed a slide. Let me go back here. Why? Oh, I don't want to go back. So the limit is $100,000. So if you have a fat IRA and you want to give it to charity, you can do it tax-free if you're over 70 and a half. Okay, so what can you expect from us? Regular communication. You get our newsletters. We call for reviews. We want to have discussions with you anytime you have concerns. Review the economic, tax, and estate investment issues with you because that's important. Keep an eye out for our mailings, our emails, because you will get the most recent tax strategies that are out there. Help us, though, to help other people. Add someone to our mailing list. We appreciate any referrals you give. And remember, our primary goal is to keep you informed, and we appreciate everyone who attends our particular sessions. So call us if you have any questions. Here's the little fine print, but there's our phone number, and everyone knows it. So thank you very much. We appreciate your attention. We look for your health and your well-being as our highest priority. So stay safe, and we appreciate all the opportunities you give us to help you with these things. So please have a wonderful day and enjoy the presentation.